right on the side of us. You could kind of see the thing moving through the woods.
All I can remember is flipping the light on, and I see this creature, and I knew in my heart, I knew in my mind, in the whole night, this isn't a man.
And then this thing walks across the road, takes a turn towards us, and then leaps over a guardrail.
Went to look forward, and there was a big black face.
Welcome to Squatch-D TV, exploring the Bigfoot mystery each week with your hosts, veteran researcher, author, and TV personality, the Squatch Detective, Steve Kulls, and from the Bigfoot Research Project of Kentucky, Chris Bennett. Sit back and buckle up as we bring you guests from around North America discussing the Bigfoot phenomena, but not without a few laughs too. Here are your hosts, Steve and Chris.
People were wondering, where did the Squatch Detective go? What was something wrong with Steve? Was he sick? Was he quitting? What was going on? Was he depressed? No, what was going on was a war. Something to me that took precedence over anything in the Bigfoot world. Many of you don't know, but my father served in Germany in World War II in Patton's army. He always taught me what war was, what war brings, and what war looks like. I knew by seeing that video that this was the videos to follow. And of course, with that, there would be a human toll. Famine, disease, homelessness. But throughout it all, there stood a hero.
Речь о мире и о принципах, о справедливости, о международном праве, о праве на самоопределение, праве самим определять свое будущее, праве каждого общества на безопасность и праве каждого человека на жизнь без угроз.
But what brought me hope was their will to fight.
Голова Офісу президента тут, прем'єр-міністр Шмигаль тут, Подоляк тут, президент тут. Всі ми тут, наші військові тут, громадяни суспільства тут, всі ми тут. Захищаємо нашу незалежність, нашу державу. Так буде й далі. Слава нашим захисникам, слава нашим захисницям. Слава Україні!
I'm reading currently that the number of child refugees stands at over 1 million.
And lots of reports are being there that children got lost. Like 10 years old, 11 years old boy himself crossed the border because his mom put a phone number of a relative in Slovakia. The other 4 years old boy got lost because his grandma was killed and he was alone there. My heart cries for every child who was killed, who died, who was lost, and who is an orphan now.
Tonight we're announcing that Squatch-D TV and Squatchdetective.com has teamed up with Creators for Peace, hashtag Creators for Peace, a collective of YouTube creators and other social media creators to promote awareness of displaced children during this crisis and to help raise funds for UNICEF for direct relief to the refugee camps for children. If you're thinking about donating to this show, we ask you to instead donate at creatorsforpeace.com. Hey, even a couple of bucks or a couple of quid, if we all pitch in, will help dramatically during this crisis. And good evening, cyberspace. Welcome to Squatch-D TV for today's date, March 20th, 2022. I'm your host, your guide, the Squatch Detective Steve Kulls, along with my co-host, Mr. Chris Bennett. Hello down there, Chris.
Hey, Steve, man. It's good to see you, bud.
Good seeing you too, brother. Long time off. Took the last month off, of course. Very sobering video. We tried to make a little bit, a little inspirational, a little bit lighthearted in some points, but we had to end on the serious note for the reason why, hashtag Creators for Peace. And, the human catastrophe is going on as we speak. I am so honored, and I'm going to bring him on right now to have my friend Jim Crut. And Jim, for those who don't know him, was actually the helicopter zombie in Dawn of the Dead, George Romero's wonderful movie. But Jim has a when I talked to, I met Jim a few years back, and we went out to dinner, him and his lovely wife, and we had such a good time. We became kind of kindred spirits there. Lives in a wonderful area that I happen to love as well because of the history behind it. But learning that, Jim has family in Ukraine and was back there as recently as 2016. So, Jim, I'll give the floor to you. What you've been hearing from the ground over there in Ukraine, and
sure. It's been very difficult to communicate simply because for what media or internet services are available, they're very crowded. So there are time issues there too. Right now in Lviv, it's 3:15 in the morning, so there's a time difference here. I have a clock on my wall that tells me the time in Lviv, which is Western Ukraine. And that's where we have most of our relatives, most of whom are cousins. On my father's side, his family was there. I was actually there in 1978 originally, and got to meet, uncles, aunts, and so forth. who are all now passed away. I went back in 2012 when my daughter was in the Peace Corps. She'd been in the Peace Corps for 3 years, teaching English in Western Ukraine at a university there. And so it was wonderful just to be able to reconnect. And I remembered a little bit of Russian, a little bit of Ukrainian from my previous trip, and trying to study ahead of time and expressions they were using. And one of the dramatic differences was, they'd say, "Well, that's very good. Хорошо. That's that's very good. Хорошо." Okay. 2012, Jim, no. Дуже добре. That's Ukrainian, no Russian. So, there was, a growing sense that things were not going to be happening well there. And that was 2012. Yep. And my daughter was there. My wife went over for a visit, got to see our daughter, Melissa, and then also visited family in Western Ukraine. So she became very personally involved as well in whatever we could do. I know the first week I was just horribly depressed when the war started and the invaders started just coming through places I'd been. And my wife said, "Would you like a Ukrainian flag? I'll make you one." That's got a wonderful wife. Yeah. And so she made this Ukrainian flag with a red heart in the middle of it. And it's on our flag post, or our light post out front. And I've had people stop and take photos of that. But, I started to feel more activated, I guess, by things at that point, because I wondered what was happening to my family members there. Places where I'd stayed, where I'd broken bread with folks. We'd gone fishing, we'd gone for walks, we'd gone on tours, we did all sorts of things with these folks, and wondering what was happening to them now. And the one cousin in their town worked at a community center. That's not her regular job. She's a teacher. She worked at a community center organizing townspeople to gather medicine, blankets, food, supplies, heaters, helmets, anything that could be sent forward to the front. The other issue that they were working with was the flood of refugees. And you think, well, everybody's going to Lviv. Well, if everybody left, say, Pennsylvania, where I live, they wouldn't all take the turnpike. There are a lot of roads across the border. So some of those roads go through small towns. And as a result, their town began to see a large influx of refugees as well, including some additional family members we had who were in Kyiv. And we hadn't heard from them for 2 weeks. And then we found out that they were staying now. They were able to get out, and they were staying with relatives in Western Ukraine. Another cousin was able to cross the Polish border, and she went on to another country with her two children, leaving behind her husband, leaving behind her parents, and everything she'd known. We've been in touch, and it's just heartbreaking. She just, all she can do in this other country is watch the news of what's going on in Ukraine. The cousin who was helping with the community center said that they had done 10 tons of supplies in 1 week. These are just people in the community gathering together. I know somebody who's got blankets. I know somebody who's got a warehouse. Let's get donations. Let's get them together and move them out. And that's exactly what they did. To see that happen, it's just I get choked up because of the reasons why they're having to do it. But the fact that they can get together and do that and work so well together with common purpose. And they've shown videos of funerals, not necessarily from the front, but bodies that have come back from the front area in eastern Ukraine. And the funeral was at night, and all along the road, people were holding candles or flashlights, just this procession. And I mean, it was just like people on both sides of the road, like a mile, to honor one of their fighters, one of their warriors. People have deep and passionate affection for Ukraine. And when they say we will not give up, we're not coming to some cheap agreement just because some bully wants to take over our country. We wouldn't do that here, and they're certainly not doing it there. And I think people have just been amazed the type of resistance that the Ukrainian people, and I mean that these are soldiers, but they're also volunteers. They're people who just literally dropped their plows or dropped their doctor instruments or brought them along with them, and they headed to the front to help out. The thing is, since 2014, with the Russian takeover of Crimea, people all over Ukraine were volunteering individually to help out at the front. And the front at that time was, the edge of Crimea. And people from their village, our relatives' village, some of them didn't come back. I mean, they were just different people, ordinary people. If they were, whatever they could do, whatever skills they could bring, they would do it. And
it's truly a remarkable thing they're doing. I mean, all the pundits were saying, Kyiv's going to be taken in 72 hours. Yeah. And here we are almost a month later, and the Russians are actually either dug in or they've moved back. That, yes. I was surprised to hear a couple of days ago that 40-mile long convoy got beat up pretty good, and they dispersed, including a good portion of it going back to Belarus. So that tells you something. Another channel I was watching had a military analyst who was saying, look at this. They're actually digging their, holes to put their tanks in. He goes, that's a bad sign for the Russians because it means they're not advancing. They're trying to dig in to keep what they've taken so far. And that's not working out too well for them either. So the resolve, number one, I was amazed at their president, Zelensky, amazed at his resolve, his bravery, his moxie, like the first week of the war, still walking around saying, hey, I'm here. I'm still here. Truly an inspiration to his people. And he's definitely motivated that country to keep on fighting, which is amazing.
Yeah, he's definitely leading from the front. Interestingly, as I mentioned, my daughter is in the Peace Corps. So after 3 years in Ukraine, she knew the language pretty well. And we went to visit her down in Virginia, and she said, hey, Dad, would you like to see a program, a TV program from Ukraine? It's got, some English subtitles and things. Maybe you'll recognize some words and language. Mm. And it was Servant of the People.
It's his show, yeah.
This is before he...
Yeah.
And, Zelensky was named president, but on that show, he played a, teacher who was overheard ranting about the condition of the country, and people took a video of that. It went viral, and they said, well, yes, we need new leadership. And on the show, he was elected president. And in real life then, about 2 weeks after that, he was elected president of Ukraine. And I thought, wow. But as my daughter would say, the university she was attending and teaching at was named after a poet. The currency in Ukraine does not have presidents and military leaders. It has poets and artists. I think that should tell you a little something about, how forward-thinking it is, rather than we've got this obligation, we've got to, put his face on everything or whatever. No, they honor the arts. I'm proud to wear this shirt, which says "Artists Stand for Ukraine." I was given this at a vigil a couple weeks ago in Gettysburg, near where I live here, and lots of artists. I mean, they appreciate what Ukraine is that way.
Yeah. Well, I've been really impressed with their performance. The Ukrainian people, I've really been impressed with their performance. What clips and stuff we can get on YouTube, like they've got their police force, one division of their police force, which would be like equivalent to our state troopers here. You know, they've banded together and they're going in small groups and hunting tanks and armor with RPGs and rifles, you know, and it's just incredible. These guys can get in there and defend their country as good as they do. And you got to give them credit. They are tough. And man, I just, you know, I'm with them. You know, I hope they can hang on. And if they can, if they've got the Russians, you know, are switching from an offensive strategy to a defensive strategy, they're doing something right.
Yeah. I mean, the only thing they're doing right now is lobbing missiles and you know, hoping for the best. Yeah. They can't, you know, they're trying to beat them now by attrition by just lobbing missiles. And, you know, that's not going to last as long as they think, because, you know, I remember all the pundits saying, oh yeah, there goes Putin. He's going to do his own version of shock and awe. And, you know, he tried shocking and we were in awe of the Ukrainian people. And that is the fact. But, you know, Jim, I'm not going to keep you too long because I know you had a busy day, but I want to thank you for coming on and sharing some of that. I wanted, you know, our audience to hear from people that know Ukraine, other than, you know, I don't know Ukraine, but I know that the bravery is unparalleled. And of course I want to, on behalf of myself and Chris, I want to say, you know, thank you to your family over there, and wishing them the very best, and prayers to them.
Very much appreciated, Steve. Thank you for the opportunity to say a few words about Ukraine, about the people. They are a remarkable people in a remarkable country.
Yes.
It's also a very beautiful country with a lot of history. And every time I think of what's raining down on Kyiv and what could potentially rain down on other cities, and they've already wiped out one, the history, you know, you're going back 1,000 years. It's not like, gee, that was built 10 years ago. It's pretty old. No, we're looking at, you know, 1,000, 1,200. It's such a useless waste of time, energy, and people's lives. There's a deep religious abiding feeling in Ukraine. One of my cousins there, by the way, is a priest. And he and his daughter gave us this the last time we were there. It's an icon that they had done. And iconography is very important to them as well. One of the other things Linda made for us was, you know.
Very nice.
Oh, yeah.
If you can see behind me here, this little guy, it's a little gnome. A neighbor knocked on our door the other day and said, brought something for you in solidarity. So he brought over the gnome for us, and I thought that was pretty cool. You'd mentioned Dawn of the Dead, and Jeannie Jeffries, who was the blonde zombie in Dawn of the Dead back in 1978, and we've all been friends ever since. She made these bracelets and just sent them to us.
Yeah.
I mean, just beautiful expressions of solidarity, and it's everywhere. After the vigil, besides the T-shirt, you know, another friend gave me this heart, you know, made out of wood, and you think, well, it's a small thing. It's a big thing. It's somebody taking the time to do it, to express themselves, and to share their feelings of solidarity. And I have to tell you, it is that, not just national, but international support, which has kept us all going and keeps us supported. So I want to thank you again, guys, for having me on. And
anytime, Jim. And if you need, you know, if you ever have a message you want to get out there, just let us know.
All righty.
Thanks for coming on, my friend.
Thanks, Jim.
Good seeing you, Jim.
Thanks again, guys.
Take care.
Bye now.
Wow. I mean,
awesome,
what can you say to that?
Yeah.
And it's so true. The you know, it's the little things that really make the little things that make, you know.
Yeah, they stick with you.
Yeah, exactly. It's just, And I'm just trying to do my little part here. If I can, do anything at the beginning of this show to put out some awareness and we'll talk about more about,
especially with the displaced children. That's one of the worst things. I guess, of course, the worst thing of war is death. But
I mean,
to have children affected, being displaced, to have their parents
children,
killed,
the elderly, animals,
Right.
all kinds of things. It's just it's really sad. But it's all the causation of not by a particular people or by even an elected government. It's by this megalomaniac and just bad news all around.
I had saw, like everyone else, where some of their tank crews or artillery crews, the Russian guys, were shelling a nuclear reactor. I mean, well, maybe not the reactor building, but the outlying buildings around the nuclear
close
reactor.
Enough.
Insanity. It's just insane. I think Zelensky said it was nuclear terrorism, and I agree 100%. If they were to hit that reactor, that would not only affect Ukraine, it would affect the world.
Yep.
And that sort of thing should never be tolerated whatsoever. Well, what Putin is doing should not be tolerated, but when he's shelling around a nuclear reactor, that could affect and that could kill the world. And,
absolutely. Yeah.
I don't want to go to war. I don't believe war is not the way to go. If they do have war, I think it should be only the politicians out there fighting each other and let everybody else watch. But if it came down to where only politicians had to go to war, there wouldn't be any anymore.
Most likely. Yeah. Well, as it stands, we'll keep praying and we'll keep in solidarity with the Ukrainian people, and hopefully we can shuffle them as much assistance as we can. And again, creatorsforpeace.com to donate to UNICEF. That's the United Nations International Children's Fund, which is the monies there are going directly to assist and aid the camps, the refugee camps that are being set up in Poland, Romania, Slovakia, Slovenia, and the such. So unreal. But anyway, let's bring on our next guest, and that would be Mr. Mo Michaud. Mo, how are you, my friend? It's been a while.
Yeah, it's been a long time, man. I'm well. How are you guys doing?
We are doing much better now, apparently. Now that we're back.
Steve, could you check the chat over there?
What we got?
Brave.
Okay. So you know what? Brave.
We don't have any room for that, bud.
Nope. Boom. Goodbye, brave. You're a coward is what you are. So, and there's always going to be somebody in there, and somebody in there that's going to be a pro-Russian that sees we're doing stuff, because what they saw was the hashtag Creators for Peace, and they decided to go in there and try to troll in here, and bye.
Yeah. And I think there are people that that support Russia, maybe have family in Russia, but there's a lot of Russians that are against this war.
Yeah, this is not about the Russian people.
Yes, that's exactly right.
This is about the megalomaniac that's in charge right now. Yeah. And it turns out that the first-rate army, turns out it's not such a first-rate army after all. But all right, let's get back to the Bigfoot subject. And hello, everybody in chat. Wanted to everybody that's there. Usually we do a roll call this week. We're going to forego that because we got the show rolling a little differently this week with a segment, and then right into Jim. So now we're going to get right into Mo. And, Mo, Mo called me earlier. Apparently there was something that occurred on the Sasquatch Chronicles. And Mr. Germer trying to stir the pot a little bit, I think. But, yeah. But Mo, why don't you go ahead and explain the situation as you did, like, to me? You're amongst friends, and
yeah. Well, the situation is this. I've been doing some outings. I don't even call them expeditions, because basically what they are is people will give me a donation. I'll go buy food, sleeping bags, tents. And I take people out on private land here in Texas, East Texas. I take them out to these ranches and these farmers that have had sightings around their livestock, and sightings around their own houses. And that's pretty much it. So about, I don't know, maybe a month and a half, 2 months ago, I'm sleeping on the Barca lounger here, and I get waken up by a phone call, and I just I pick up the phone, and it's Wes Germer. And he goes, hey, Mo, did I wake you? And I was like kind of punch drunk, because I just woke up. And here is, I haven't spoken to Wes Germer, over the phone in years. And
well, let's explain why that is.
Well, that's because of the whole situation with Bob Garrett, and how I never got the chance to come on Wes's show and defend myself. In all the forums on his site, a lot of things were said about me that weren't true. And I want to thank you, Steve, for coming to the forefront and defending me and doing the investigative work that you did.
Well, as you know, I had been contacted by a couple of people from the expedition through the Mid-America Bigfoot Research Center. They put me in contact with these two folks and wondering what I could do. And it all came back to Bob Garrett, not Mo Michaud, not even Timothy Sermons. It all came back, who was the other person that was involved in the Big Thicket research group, or whatever you want to call it. Yeah, Bob had been taking these expeditions. He'd pretty much been the leader of the group, and would put these missions out on federal land, which is a no-no if you're charging money, unless you're permitted. Right. The other thing too that Mo exposed was that Bob was using this bogus audio of a gorilla sound, basically trying to claim to these people in his groups that this is a Bigfoot, and it's actually a recording off of YouTube of a gorilla. And you can see that. Yeah. That video has been done and is on the channel. Yeah. So you
exact match. Yeah.
Exact match. Yep. So, at the time I had a conversation with Wes, and Wes wanted to deny that the audio even sounded alike.
Right.
And the waveform was the same. And, and he wanted to deny that. And then I explained to him, well, people are missing money. And I'm going to jump ahead. But when Wes mentions on the program that there are people unhappy with your expedition because he's received emails, and this happened back in 2016 with Mo and a couple other guys as well, he failed to mention the other guy, Bob Garrett, was a guy he was heavily promoting, even after he was exposed.
Right. And, my last outing was in November, around the holidays. And I can understand Wes saying, yeah, why I heard that Mo is doing outings, or he calls them expeditions now. But when he mentions the 2016 and the guys down there in Texas, he says Mo, but he never mentions Bob Garrett, because Bob Garrett was the head of this whole thing. And everybody knows that. I think that Wes just doesn't want to go down that rabbit hole again with Bob Garrett. I think that's why he basically didn't mention Bob's name and called it 2016 Moe's Expeditions.
Right, and they weren't. They were Big Thickets Expeditions, aka Bob Garrett, and he got. And unfortunately, you were with them when the feds came down on you guys.
Right.
Yep.
Right.
And you were like, what?
Right. So Wes calls me up 2 months ago. Sound asleep, and he says, I hear that you've been ripping people off recently down in Texas, and I'm going to go on my show and I'm going to distance myself from you. Just wanted you to know. And I'm like, I'm half asleep. I'm like, what the hell is this guy? Why is he drudging this stuff back up? And what complaints? I had one person who wouldn't follow my rules. And it's not like I have super stringent rules, but there are rules, and this person wouldn't follow the rules, so that person had to go. Now, I think maybe that person got a hold of Wes and said something to Wes, but Wes is saying, I'm getting all these email complaints about Mo. Nobody has complained to me, not one single person. On the contrary, people think that my outings are awesome because I take them to areas that are very, very active. So I don't know where this is coming from. I sent Wes a text asking him if he could forward me or email me the, basically all these emails and these complaints, and I'll deal with them one at a time. But I don't even know. If somebody has a problem, Steve, wouldn't they pick up the phone and call me?
Or email you or something? Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
So
he
suggest.
Yeah, he goes on his show and he's got a massive forum. So, and I know he put his disclaimer out there at the end, well, I don't know if this is true or not, but if, that's like saying somebody is a criminal. Yeah, I've been hearing, complaints about this guy robbing these stores, but, I don't know if it's true or not. So,
yeah,
he did that in a kind of a sneaky way. He threw his disclaimer in, and I just, never had a chance to really defend myself. And that's why I called you up, and anybody who's heard this little disclaimer before his show, I really have no complaints. That nobody has been complaining to me except one person who I had to basically out from the group. So that's
because he wasn't following rules. Yep.
Right. Weren't following rules. Did not follow the protocol. I hate to have to do that to somebody, but rules are rules.
And now, if he had a complaint, or if he wanted a portion of his money back or whatever, he should have emailed you, and you guys could have worked it out.
Exactly. Now, let me ask you this, Steve. If there was a problem with Wes's credibility because of me supposedly ripping people off, why did he just pull the episodes? Why would
did
he
he
just pull no,
did he pull the Bob
88 and 89 are still up. Why wouldn't he just pull these episodes? That's a big
because
mystery.
It's all well, because the reason is because he's not in charge of his own show. That's the reason why. It's run by a media company.
It's a media company. Yeah.
Well, it seems to me if he'd been receiving these emails, it'd be a simple thing for him to just forward them to you.
Exactly.
Say, hey,
what's so difficult?
Exactly, Chris. Say, hey, look,
it's just like if somebody had said to me, hey, listen, I have a problem with X, Y, and Z. I don't get on the radio show and start running my mouth. I investigate it. I say, hey, can you, well, I haven't seen the emails. Well, let me send them to you. So the very simple, if these emails exist, you can send them to Mo, you can send them to me, and I can send them to Mo. Yes. If they exist, or, if you want to be that much of a, douche cake and not want to give you your say, Mo, then just post them. So with the email address that's been valid, because we need to see if they're really real emails.
Right. Now
You know?
he did text me back and say, look, my mother passed away. I told him, I'm sorry that your mom
Well,
passed
that's
away.
bad. Yeah, exactly.
You know, and he says, I will, you know, send them to you in 2 to 3 weeks.
Okay.
So I'm going to wait and see if these emails are sent to me. So I'm going to give him, you know, a fair opportunity to do that. But
Well, I'll say this, Mo. If there are complaints, you're doing a lot more than Bob Garrett did.
well, I took 4 people out, Steve, who never got their money back. Now, one woman was from Canada. She wanted to come out. I said, look, you get out here. I'll take
I've spoken
you
to
out.
her.
Yeah, very nice lady. I said, I'll take you out. She says, Mo, you got to understand that first trip, pretty much I had to go into you know, my nest egg to do that first trip. She said, I can't come back out. I says, well, I'm sorry. If you could ever get out, I will take you out. So I took 4 people out on my own time, and I did, you know, an expeditions with them. So that's one thing that you know, Wes never told anybody. Hey, Mo actually, you know, 4 people didn't get their money back. He took them out. So I just never had an opportunity to go on. I would like to go on live. You know, I would love to go on live with Wes and discuss this, but he just won't. He won't even entertain that.
Well, at least he's being decent enough to say, okay, I'll send you the emails in 2 to 3 weeks.
Yes, I can give him that. Yeah. Yes, I give him that. Yes.
Okay. So a month down the road, you don't get those emails, then you got a story.
Yeah, then they didn't happen. That's the easy way. If you don't,
I appreciate you having me come on and let me tell my side of the story, because I don't have a forum to defend myself, and I just think it's not fair. And again, if it's such a problem, pull those episodes that I'm on.
If there's anything I know, you know, you were a quintessential part of the investigation, which actually started with the two folks that did lose their money. And there was no question about it in looking at those people's text messages, who the person responsible was for the money. It was Bob Garrett, and then it was Bob Garrett's daughter, and then it was everybody but Bob Garrett. And then eventually he goes, he starts throwing Tim Sermon's name into it, and then you know, he throws your name in. But the funny thing is the first ever text, they were saying, well, my daughter, what's her daughter's name, Tammy or something like that. I forget what it was, but anyway, my daughter's got it, and you know, contact her, and here's her information. Well, if the daughter's got it, that should end it right there. But his story changes, of course. Yeah. And that's what happens when, you know, and then there was another Bigfoot researcher that goes by the handle of Decimus Maximus, who sent him a bunch of infrared cameras, and they came back trashed.
Yeah, I know all about that.
Yeah, exactly. And stuff like that. So, you know, there was a lot of issues with Bob Garrett, you know, and him running the expeditions in Fed land. And he had been warned. It wasn't like he didn't know. He just did not care.
Well, Steve, I even told him, I said, look, Bob, I've been doing some investigations on my own into private land. Let's do that. And he's like, hell no, I don't want to do that. We're going to do this my way. We're going to run it my way. If you don't like it, Mo, there's the highway. And I says, well, it would be much better if we did this on private land. He said, no, we're going to be doing this in the national forest, and we're going to do it regardless of what you say. Now, I was the patsy in this whole thing, especially on Sasquatch Chronicles forums. I mean, I was the one who had all the money. I took the money, and none of that's true.
And you know what? They didn't want to broadcast the real truth, which is on that video, is the money went to Bob, and that's why Bob's saying, well, you got to talk to my daughter. He didn't say you have to talk to Mo. In fact, he said talk to Tim before he said even talk to Mo, because he was looking for somebody to bail him out of that money.
Right. Right. So
now there's a little conversation, Mick saying that Wes Germer isn't a hoaxer, he has his own show. And then Manimal, hello Manimal, welcome. Says Mick Sion, his encounter is questionable. Ask Will Jennings. That's because him and his brother Woody had made these claims that their car was surrounded by Sasquatches, multiple.
Yeah.
And they could see them because there was a full moon that night, and they could see them all about. But when they went to check the date of the incident, it turns out there was a new moon. So there was no moonlight.
Yeah.
So that kind of directly.
Uh-oh.
What's the matter? Yeah. Uh-oh.
Well,
yeah.
it morphed into solar flares. That's what it morphed into.
Solar flares. Oh my
God.
God.
Solar flares.
At what time in? Yeah, morphed into solar flares. So that should tell you right there. Oh, it wasn't moonlight. It was solar flares.
Right.
I don't know about you, but I've been in the woods a lot. Never seen a solar flare. Haven't even seen the aurora borealis.
Right.
So, and I live north of a lot of these MFers. So yeah.
Well, I just want to thank you for
Anytime.
giving me this chance, Steve. You're a good guy, one of the best Squatch detectives out there. I mean, we're all pretty much, when we do this, we're Squatch detectives, and I've been watching you since the late 90s, man. And I appreciate what you do, brother. Thank you.
I appreciate it. And Mo, I appreciate what you're doing, your honesty, and you're like I said, you were quintessential to wrapping up the whole Bob Garrett thing. And I was glad to meet Reba. She came up and visited me a few years back when she was doing a tour of Whitehall. And that was really cool. Risha, that's right. Risha Bravo. Yeah. And that was really cool getting to meet her and her family. And unfortunately, the Sasquatches didn't want to play. It was kind of rainy that night anyway. But, it was great to meet them. So, but Mo, you take care, brother, and you get some stuff on the line. You come back on. We'll talk more. And we'll get you
Hang in there, man. Yeah, when you get those emails, then everything will be hunky-dory. And if you don't get them, that means they probably didn't exist at all.
And remember, and always remember, don't worry. A lion who sleeps never worries about the lies of sheep. Just remember that.
Amen, brother. Amen.
All right, brother. You take care.
God bless.
God bless. Well, we're just rolling through here. So I wanted to get Mo on to give his side of the story on that.
Yeah.
He talked to me last minute. And
well, it's kind of questionable when somebody gets on there and says, well, I've got, so many emails where so-and-so said you did this. Well, okay, let's see them. Let me see the emails. Where are they at?
Well, he runs a audio podcast.
Right.
If we were doing something like that, I'd reach out to the guy for comment. And frankly, we do a video show. I'd be showing the video. I'd black out the email and say, hey, this is the email we've received. This is the email we received.
Right.
And they've been forwarded if there was no answer. And that's what we did with Bob Garrett when that whole thing was going down.
Yeah.
It's about accountability as a broadcaster. And I don't go out and, just blow somebody away without, getting the facts straight at least.
Well, a little thing that kind of bugs me a little bit is the disclaimer. Now, when someone has a disclaimer and they trash somebody, then there's a disclaimer. Well, we don't know if this is true or not. Well, if you don't know if it's true or not, then why are you saying
shouldn't be airing
it? Yeah. There should be no disclaimer on a hatchet job like that. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah. You don't put a disclaimer. Yeah, exactly. Not on a hatchet job. Hey, we found out that Bigfoot actually left some prints in this flares, but it's unconfirmed and we can't verify it. That's different.
Yeah, exactly.
But, it's just, the facts are the facts. Yeah. Lives with sheep. Okay. Life is a Flyway said, let me go over to the comments section here. Lies with sheep. Okay. Whose favorite drink is Woolite? No. I said lies of sheep, I think.
Low rider. I think Mo might have had a little beep in the background there.
Yeah, he did. He did. He it's an issue he's got ongoing with his computer, but it wasn't as obnoxious to really, destroy his broadcast. So that was good.
Yeah.
But so anyway, Chris, talking about tonight's topic, I wanted to mention this. People have asked, the answer to the question is hope, purpose, and community. The question is, what's the question? That's the question. What is that question for? Is that what we want to do? We want to create hope, purpose, and community? Well, and here's the interesting thing. How did this come out? Because over our little break, I was watching some videos and, basically bopping around YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
And I got on this one channel where he was talking about the cult of MLM, multi-level marketing scams.
Yeah.
And how those people become scam artists.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason why is because they give people hope, purpose, and a community. Now, people have asked us, why do people follow, these shows that are full of crap, or these people that are full of crap? Because here's the thing. That is the quintessential need for any group, is hope, purpose, and community. So therefore, if a good person comes out and wants to give you some hope, gives you a purpose, and creates a community for you, which I hope I'm doing. One thing I always try to do. I know sometimes I'm a little light on the hope part, right? But I've given plenty of people a purpose to look and check and to look into everything that's said, including my own stuff. Because I might be wrong on something. Oh, imagine that. I admitted that, didn't I? And community. And that's what we got going on right now over in that crazy screen off to our right.
Yeah.
As we look at as our beautiful community. We missed you all. B is going to be so angry she missed the show. Anyway, but if a person with malintent, or a person that has intentions of their own good, rather than that of the community they create, that, they lie about the hope and purpose, and they have an alternative purpose. Their hope is you believe them. They have an alternative purpose to what they're telling you. That is where things go wrong. So if you look, why do people follow this guy? Well, he's giving them a lot of hope because of all this baloney. Oh yeah, look at this. This tree breaks Sasquatch. That tree breaks Sasquatch. Look at the head of this Bigfoot. Look at the head of that Bigfoot. I know it doesn't fit to what you normally think a Bigfoot is, but that is a Bigfoot. Guess what? He's giving people that want to believe in Bigfoot hope that it exists.
Yeah.
He gives them a purpose to go out and find it yourself, or even one malcontent. Oh, come out and join my expedition up here in Canada for $3,000. Right? And then, of course, they always create their little communities. They have their little Facebook groups, or they may have their own little, as a lot of the channels do. Some of these big channels, they have their own little kind of message board system.
Yeah.
And that gives them community where they can each. And of course, what happens is if you doubt one bit or say a bad thing about the glorious leader, guess what? You get swarmed by these people because to these people, that person has given them hope, purpose, and community. And don't ever expect them to change unless you give them their own hope, purpose, and community. But generally, if they find that first, just like any other cult, they're going to have something happen that shakes them to the core of what their leader is saying.
Right.
And and Robin, that is a great point. The standing community. There's folks that follow MK Davis, same thing. You'll see them. And the funny thing is you can always tell the arguments. They're like the other bad arguments against everything else. You're just, like that guy Brave earlier tonight, that dimwit, you guys don't know what you're talking about. You've just been fed all this misinformation. Well, Instead, why don't you say, I think you're wrong about that because I've heard otherwise. And here's the reason why. No, he's got to come in here and try to troll and say, oh, you guys don't know what you're talking about. Okay.
I don't watch fake news. I've been watching the live cams and stuff.
Yeah,
it's hard to fake those.
One thing I've been following is the Twitter feeds.
Yeah.
And Twitter feeds are huge.
Yeah.
The Ukrainian Defense Ministry, you get a lot of the videos of what's going on there, and it is what it is.
Right.
And yeah, Joe, lack of attention span. Got to solve the problems in 30 minutes so they can. And yeah, exactly. That's the other thing too, is that, if you, the people that, but why? But you ask them, why do they drive by and don't investigate? Not that they have a lack of attention span, but it all goes back to that first word, hope. They want to have hope that Bigfoot exists. Right? Doesn't matter, how they go about that. But if they feel validated that Bigfoot exists through whatever means, then their hope has been satisfied and their purpose has been satisfied in their own view. And then they can go enjoy that with the rest of their community. But if you turn around and argue with that community, you get trollistic comments, not sane arguments, not, hey, listen, I think you may have it wrong here. You know what? In all the debunkings I've done of the hoaxers, I've never gotten that particular comment from any person that has defended them. I've gotten name calling and accusing me of being the fraud because I'm making my analysis up, which is, even though I may walk, I remember the Cat Hansen stuff, I walk everybody through the steps.
Yep.
And then they're trying, and then same thing with the Todd Standing stuff. Oh, I walk them through the steps. Oh, you're just really? Here, just click on this, click on that, click on this. You'll get the same results.
It's less interested in opinion than we are facts, because you can't change the facts. The facts are the facts.
And unfortunately, you can be entitled to your own opinion, but you can't be entitled to your own facts.
Right.
And you know how many people will still argue about the Bigfoot peeper?
Yeah.
Well, I don't care if the guy is, well, I know you don't care if the guy is a felon, and we won't, I'm not going to, but how do you explain the gun story in the story?
Yeah.
How do you explain the fact that he never owned property there?
And plus, where that happened was in the middle of a suburban neighborhood,
right?
Like
because that's the only property he owned. He didn't even own it; he rented it.
Bigfoot going from backyard to backyard.
And Standing will never ever come out and take me head on because he does sock accounts. I'm pretty sure.
He knows. He already knows.
Anybody. Most people that have tried to stand against me have used sock accounts.
Yeah.
Trying to, sit there and what was that guy from Ohio with the tooth? That was another one. I get these two people, and all their YouTube channels were created like the day after the post I created.
Yeah.
And it's amazing the number of trollistic remarks you get from people that have been on YouTube for less than a couple of weeks.
Yes. Brand new accounts.
Look at that. No videos, no subscribers. Have like 2 subscriptions, usually to the troll themselves, to the target of the investigation, and maybe probably another sock account.
I've had that happen. Brand new accounts come on there and they leave some of the rudest comments there was. Well, just completely, delete and block completely and permanently. So that's it. Go ahead, create another one and I'll block it too.
Okay. Can somebody explain the Bigfoot peeper? Life is a flyway. Yes, a couple of years ago, a man by the name of, oh my goodness. Well, anyway, this guy came out and got on Facebook. Yeoman.
There's a show on it.
Jonathan Yeoman came out and posted all these different pictures of this Bigfoot allegedly looking in the window. And the story goes something like this. Well, I was sitting there on my recliner when all of a sudden this thing, and I live out in the middle of the Colorado woods, and I've got 3-4 acres or whatever amount of acres out there. I live in the middle of nowhere. Yeah. And I'm sitting there watching the boob tube when all of a sudden, this Bigfoot starts looking in my window. So I grab my video camera, conveniently right next to him. I grab my video camera, which I keep on my stand next to my easy chair.
Yes,
and
fully
I start
charged,
videotaping
ready to
it.
go.
And I start videotaping it. And after about 8 minutes of that, my wife runs in and she screams, "Ah!" And she runs into the other room and calls the sheriff's department. However, the sheriff's department was never told or was never disclosed. So from there, I go in and I get my gun. I get my, I forget which one it was, but I get my
Glock or something.
Or 357 or something like that.
I don't know.
Right?
Yeah.
And that's where the story ends. So the story doesn't end there. Excuse me. So anyway, unfortunately, the video I had was destroyed in a fire at my mom's house.
Yeah.
So okay. So you own this property here, but you're going to take your video and leave it at your mom's house when it could be better than the Patterson Gimlin film. You don't go to the media with it. You don't go and give it to the police to look at. You take it to your mom's house, where conveniently it is destroyed by fire. However, for some reason, he has these video caps of the Bigfoot or these pictures of the Bigfoot.
Yeah, and there was such a long time that went by while he's watching this thing, looking at him through his window, and he's not panicked at all.
No
and
raptor.
All of a sudden,
wrong guy.
Yeah. All of a sudden, after his wife comes in and screams, now he's going to get his gun. I mean, well, wait a minute.
Thank you.
Why are you scared now?
Right. You've been sitting there taping it for 8 minutes, and now you're going to get your gun. And if your wife's in there, wouldn't you say that? Hey, honey, stay out. Don't go out on the front porch. There's a Bigfoot out there. Or don't go out on the back porch. There's a Bigfoot looking in the window.
Yeah.
No, I'm not going to say nothing. Just sit there. And then the wife comes in. I mean, the story is it's so unrealistic. I mean, it was made by somebody that sounded like they were in second grade. The bear's looking in the window. Oh, let me take a video of it. Oh, in comes the wife. She screams, goes in the other room, going to call animal control. Let me get my gun now. Does that sound believable to anybody? And we're using bear instead of a Bigfoot. No, it doesn't even believable with a bear. So why would it be believable with a Bigfoot? So we turn around and we end up, I start searching for this guy. Can't find this guy. Turns out he's using his middle name on his Facebook account, not his first name. Because when you put his first name, middle name, and last name together, he's a convicted child molester. Convicted child molester. Yes, life is a flyway. Truth is stranger than fiction in this case. Right? So I sit there. He was originally from Kokomo, Indiana, and he transplanted himself to Colorado. And I even found an article from, I think, 2012, maybe 2009, of him getting a whole Santa's, come and sit on Santa's lap
Mall
and tell him what you
Santa or
want. Let's
something.
get it. Yeah, Mall Santa.
Yeah.
Shut that down, because guess who is working as one of the elves, aka the helpers?
Yeah.
That's right, the child molester.
Yeah.
So they shut that whole thing down. And you think about it, why would a child molester even apply for that job? Why? I sense nothing good there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But that being said, and I've always said this, I can't say the reason why he wanted to infect the Bigfoot community was for any nefarious purpose other than the fact that he is so isolated that what did he want? Hope, purpose, and community.
Yeah.
Use his middle name instead of his first so nobody tracks him down. elevate himself in this community with these pictures, and then he becomes somebody. So now he has purpose and community.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So it all fits what hope, purpose, and community is. That can break down most of your Bigfoot hoaxers and most of your phony Bigfoot evidence bringers and all of that. So that was a nice way of segueing back into our topic.
Yeah.
So,
I would probably even add opportunity.
My husband was drinking coffee in his chair and looked up, and a moose was looking in the window at him. I saw it too, but no one screamed. And I bet you what? He didn't have a video camera waiting right next to him, did he? Just a quick question. Probably not. I don't. Of course. Why not just grab your camera phone?
Yeah.
That would have been more believable. But you see, when you're faking a story, you don't think of the way real things happen.
Yeah, if he had his phone laying on the table next to him, hey, that's perfectly acceptable. Everybody does that. Right. They take their phone with them, they lay it on the table, sit down, watch TV, whatever. Phone rings so you can pick it up, right? So, you got your phone nearby, you can make photos with that or videos. Well, I better be quiet now. I'm giving them a better backstory now.
It don't matter, because you know what? When you do the digging, and realize when you do the digging, and you pull up the guy's real address, because I'm a private investigator. Hey, guess what? I got some resources.
You can't hide from Steve Kulls.
Right. And then I do a property record search. It turns out he doesn't own any property at all in Colorado. There's a couple of yeomans that own property, but they're way far away from where he says this actually happened. So he specifically states he owns the property, so it made no sense. But just in case, I checked.
There's an episode. Yeah, there's an episode on the Bigfoot Peeper, and it's pretty good. You can appreciate Steve's investigative skills, because he finds the house where the incident occurred, and we even matched up the lights to the neighbor's house behind his house through the window from the back light of the neighbor's house. It's pretty good.
Yes, elementary, my dear Bennett.
Yeah, it was pretty. It was pretty good. Oh man! But his whole deal about being out in the woods and Colorado and all that was just crap. It was a suburban neighborhood.
He's been out in the woods in Colorado, but he didn't have no gun. Of course, he didn't have a gun on his Facebook page. His son did, or whatever. One of his relatives did, or whatever. He was out there, had a gun, but he didn't. Why?
Well,
dun dun dun, because it's illegal for him to have a weapon.
Felon, right? As a convicted felon, he better not have a gun.
Which puts a huge hole in his story again. Well, I went to I got my 357 ounce or whatever the.
Okay, you're under arrest.
Arm of choice.
Yeah, they take that stuff seriously, but you don't. You don't have a gun if you're a convicted felon. No.
I should have called the cops on the guy and said, "Hey, this guy is claiming he has a weapon. He's a felon."
Right.
And then when the police go there to say, "Well, we have this story where you said you had a gun. Where's the gun?" Well, I made. What's he faced with then? Then he's going to have to admit, "Well, I made the story up."
Yeah.
Right. That's what I should have done.
Yeah.
Well, but I didn't want to give this guy any trouble, but.
You cleared it up enough as it was, Steve.
Yeah, exactly. I didn't have to go. If he had came out and attacked me about that thing, number one, he wouldn't have. See, the problem is with him, he wouldn't even have many supporters with that, because of his prior conviction, and people have little sympathy for that.
Yeah.
And if you talk to a lot of psychologists, that's the kind of thing that's not easily cured either.
Yeah.
So.
Oh man.
But
yeah, I don't know. If I saw a moose looking in my window, I don't know. I might scream. We don't have any moose around here.
That's right.
Yeah.
Well, just fly now, if a Bigfoot looked in my camper window while I was out boondocking, I'm not gonna lie, I would myself. And at
the old house when I lived on the farm, I found tracks not 300 feet away from behind my house. And what was shocking was it was just a little cedar thicket, maybe 1 acre of cedar thicket. And then it was all open field around it. And then, of course, you had to go back maybe a mile to get to the nearest woods or the nearest stream. But I had found tracks coming across at nighttime, coming across the open field and going into that cedar thicket. And after I found those tracks there, that's when we started doing the 24/7 recording project, and I kept leaving bait and stuff out there. But after I found those tracks, man, I didn't feel comfortable sleeping next to a window after that. I don't know whether it's, I just had these images in my mind of movies where something reaches through the window and grabs you, while you're in the bed or what. But I didn't feel comfortable sleeping next to a window there. And I put up a big floodlight in the backyard that shine. I left that thing on from dusk till dawn. And so, yeah, I don't think I'd want Big and Harry peeping in a window at me. I mean, if he's out there.
No, I agree 1,001%. Yeah, you've got that creepy area going there, Chris. I just, you had that. Now you got kind of now you have a sinkhole.
Well, the problem, yeah. Now I don't have to worry about it so much now. But at the old place, at the house at the farm, not 300 feet away, I had a creek, okay, that ran through along the edge of the property line. But as far as the travel route, that was as close as it would. But where these tracks came through was from the back end of the farm. It had went from that wooded area to that cedar thicket that was just like 300 feet behind the house. And it was amazing that one would decide. Of course, had started snowing. So my hypothesis that was that because it was trying to escape some bad weather, just temporarily as like a temporary shelter. But I don't know. I didn't like it that close to the house at all. And we had found tracks before back in the back fields, back near the woods. We had a tobacco patch there. We had found tracks in that tobacco patch. Well, that didn't really surprise me. Well, of course, the tracks surprised me, but it didn't really surprise me as much because it's right there next to the wooded area. So it didn't have to cross any open ground,
Yeah. Wow. Wow. So, yeah. So that was, I'm glad I explained that to you, but you can look at hope, community, and purpose for about every single motive that anybody does. Those are the 3 major things. And it's like when he said that at the end of this video, there's this one YouTube user. I was like, why these, cults exist, this MLM cults specifically, or, even like the faith healers, the phony faith healers, it's all about hope, purpose, and community.
Yeah.
And if, you look and just look at, look at regimes of the past. I mean, this is universal. And that's now, and then with that simple statement, everything clicked for me that when people ask me the $1 million question, why do people follow that? Because he gives them a sense of hope that Bigfoot's real. He gives them a purpose to go out in the woods and examine these tree breaks or this bad evidence and say it's evident when it's not. And he gives them a community. He has some kind of forum, or she has some kind of forum, a Facebook group or stuff where you can post this nonsense and everybody will stand around and applaud you. And that's exactly why they follow them without reservation.
And I think
because if they go against the grain, now think about the consequences. If they go against the grain, they will be ostracized from the community. They will be ostracized from the leader. And with that, the purpose and hope disappear.
Yeah.
So, the first thing that disappears is the purpose, and then eventually hope will disappear.
Do you think maybe it's largely people that live in places where they can't get out and go, trekking in the woods, like big cities and stuff?
No, I think it's that may be part of it. But as geographically, heck, we know that the people that end up following these cults of Bigfoot, and that's what I'm starting to call them. These cults of Bigfoot, come from all walks of life, all geographic locations, all races, all religions, all income levels. And that is true too of all cults. In fact, cults generally can attract even, smarter people, but the smarter people get higher positions within the cult.
Right.
That's very, very true. But you look at any structured volunteer organization or even a paid organization, you go to a job, they have what they call, we want you to learn the company culture. Right. And you're programmed from day one, beginning with a new hire orientation, to believe in a certain way about your company.
Right.
And you're given a lot of hope. When you clock in for the day, you're given purpose, and your coworkers are your community.
Right.
But what happens is that after a while, if something goes wrong, what happens? You end up losing hope. Yeah. Hope is the main drive of everything.
Yes.
So when you lose hope, then all of a sudden you become very angry at work and you don't want to be there. And then you start alienating yourself from the community. So then eventually you don't care about your purpose anymore. So everything, it's like this vicious triangle. If you have no community, then you have no hope. If you have no hope, then you have no purpose. If you have no purpose, you have no hope. So it's all just this vicious circle of, it's like a fire triangle almost, because you need those three ingredients. You need oxygen, you need an ignition source, and you need fuel. And if you take one of them away, it doesn't work. And that's the problem with these cults, is that it's a triangle. And if you just take one of those away, it all comes crashing down.
Yeah.
But it's true with everything in life. For example, say I wanted to join a volunteer fire company. Hey, I've been a firefighter for 12 years in my younger years. My hope is to help the community, and that's also part of my purpose. But my hope is to save lives and have a good, forward commitment. And guess what? All these other firefighters were my community. Well, what ended up happening was I left I left the fire service because I was starting to lose hope, because I was going through a rough time. I was going through my divorce, my first divorce, and I kind of lost hope. So I had no purpose there, and I left. And I felt like I couldn't contribute, and I was further away, and so and then I lost my community because of that.
Yeah.
It's all part of the same triangle, no matter what you do. So it's amazing now how that little statement has made me look at life. And maybe even it's a part of the reason why, because when I realized that, I said, I got to do a show this week. I haven't done a show because guess what? This is my purpose here is to get the word out. Yeah. My hope is to educate people, inspire people, and get the truth out and educate people. Not that I'm the smartest guy in the room, by no means. But I do enjoy what I do, and I am good at this medium. That if I'm not the smartest guy in the room, I get people on there way smarter than me and have them educate you. I'm just a conduit. And of course, I have my beautiful community that's right off to my right-hand side there, who are here faithfully, whether we haven't done a show in 4 or 5 weeks, or whether we haven't done a show in 6 months. Because when we announce a show, guess what? Everybody's back with bells on. With bells on, no less.
With the greatest listeners of
greatest
any
audience,
show.
Man.
Yes. 100%.
And some of us, and some of those folks out there have been following us some of us folks have been following us for many years, years.
Yeah.
You know, and so yeah, this is my purpose is to get the word out, to have a conduit, to talk to a group, and that's why I don't talk politics normally. And even though today, you know, you can't look at world events such as what's going on in Ukraine without a little bit of politics, but I'll avoid the blame game for that sake. I will avoid any of that, or this person's not doing this right, and this person is, and we should be doing that, and not this. I'm not going to get into that.
We don't do that.
In fact, I was looking at, my program that I showed earlier, and I was taking elements out of it to avoid that kind of mishmash. To say, hey, that's kind of borderline on taking a political stance. So I'm going to take that away because I don't care about your political stance. I don't hate anybody because of a political stance.
Right.
I don't hate anybody because of their religion, their color, their creed, their race, anything like that. My only judgment of a person is if they do me right or they do me wrong. You're going to do me wrong, you're going to make an enemy of me.
Yep.
And that's okay. I'm not going to say, oh, that's horrible, but
we don't make no judgments on people based on their political standing.
No. Because I've met some great, conservative folks. I've met some great liberal folks. And the bottom line is when the shit hits the fan, like Ukraine, like Jim was saying earlier.
Yeah.
Everybody just came together.
That's right.
Everybody came together. If something, people have forgotten what September 12th, 2001 was in this country. People forgot. Everybody was unified, flags up and down. Everybody, we all pitched in to help any way we could to the people that lost their lives in New York and Washington or Virginia, actually.
Yeah.
And in Pennsylvania. We did everything we could for those folks. And we did everything we could for our fire departments and our first responders and our EMS. And here we are, years later, forgetting all that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't forget.
Yeah, the American people came together as one. And I think that's happening to the Ukrainian people now when when they were attacked, they have come together as one. And that's what it takes to see it through,
And you know what people think too, why can't we do that in the Bigfoot community? Why can't we all just come together? Like everything in life, there is no sense of urgency. Right? The mystery's been there. It's not going anywhere. And the reason why is the same reason why government is the way they are. Democrats have a purpose the same as the Republicans, the ones that are in government, aside from the politicians patting their own pockets. But, they all want to make this country move forward. The problem is how. And it's the same thing with the Bigfoot community.
Yeah.
We're all trying to advance the topic, but there's a lot of dissension. Everybody, may have their own ideas.
Right.
That's nothing unique. That's nothing special. That's life. So if there's any hope I can give people, if people are harping on this or that, I don't lose sleep over this. I do not live, breathe, and sleep Bigfoot. It is my major interest. I spend a lot of time on it. But guess what? If there's something more pressing, like keeping an eye on the possibility of World War III,
right,
or something's wrong with my family, or I need to work, I need to do it's inventory schedule. So guess what? I'm going to be here, mostly Sunday nights. Guess what? That's why there was no shows, because
that's part of life.
Part of life.
Yeah.
There are people in this community that are obsessed with Bigfoot. It's the only thing they think of. You think the guy from Canada with the beard, the weird beard, do you think for 1 second he has a job that's meaningful to him? Do you think for 1 second, why do you think he tries to get a about 10 people a year to give him between $3,000 and $3,500 in expedition, because then he doesn't have to work.
Yeah.
And if you're living in mom's basement, you need even less.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, that's true.
So look at it that way. Look at the people you follow. Look at the people, me, I work a 40-hour week, and I did this show, and Chris can attest to this. I've done this show when I was working 75-hour weeks.
Yep.
And a lot of people don't know that when I was by myself a few years ago, I had to work 2 jobs just to make sure everything ran here. And if I couldn't do a show, well, I can't do a show. Did I go out and ask for Bigfoot money? Did I put a GoFundMe page up? No, because I've never asked the public for a free handout. People, want to donate to the show. Fine, that's beautiful. I appreciate that. I'm never going to really, I don't feel right putting up a PayPal me address or anything like that. I put the super chat up in case somebody wants to do it, but you don't see me. Hey, if you want to donate, hit the super chat. I never say that. All I want is my money from advertising. That's my main goal. And if you want to donate to something, you can donate to creatorsforpeace.com, to the United Nations Children's Fund.
Yeah.
For the Ukrainian kids, the 1 million plus that are in trouble over in those refugee camps. Help them find their folks, help them feed them, help them get them medicine and medical attention, have them get warmth and shelter and put in place to where they can be warm, dry, and secure, and hopefully have a little bit of smiling.
Yeah.
So
get them out of that mess they're in over there.
And that's, Chris, that's something that, it kind of tailed on to a little bit, was I was getting a little angry because, there's a certain troll that when I'm going to call him I'm going to call, the spade a spade. He's a troll. But when somebody calls me a fraud because I disagree with them and has spent his career derailing everybody in this community, whether right or wrong, because who the hell is he? You know what? He got booted off of a third-rate reality TV program. He was the first contestant kicked off, wanted to play a card because, they kicked me off because I was this way. You know what? You were never a researcher. You were just a pundit. And guess what? You want to call out a hoaxer? That's fine. But you know what? You're doing that off the broad shoulders of people who do the real work to prove they're a hoaxer. You want to call people grifters because we have monetization on our YouTube channel? Well, you do too. So guess what? I do the research and I don't ask a dime from anybody. So who's the grifter? If it wasn't for us, he'd have no show. Enough said. Enough said. So now that I've gotten everything off my chest in a more constructive way than the last show, so what is up? What do you think we're going to be doing soon, Chris?
Well, as it warms up a little bit, I'm looking forward to getting out and doing some putting some boots on the ground, and that's the main thing. I missed my March 6th anniversary of going to that certain area because it was pouring down rain that day, and unfortunately, I don't think I can handle walking 6 miles in the rain.
I don't think I can handle walking 6 miles in the rain.
But as it warms up a little, and we've had snow this last week. We had snow, so I'm thinking about when spring gets here. I'm ready for it. I'm really ready to get out of the house and start doing some trekking, and that's good for the old kicker to get out and put a few miles on. Just not a whole lot of miles the first day, but I'm kind of dreading it too because you know how it is, man. every time you get out that first time and you put those miles in, especially if you've been sitting all winter and hadn't really done any exercising, that next morning you're like, oh my God, I can't believe my legs hurt so bad. And it's usually about the first week. It's that way with me. And then after the first week, it starts getting a little better. It's like, hey, okay. Start hop out of bed and start feeling better. I'm not as sore today. I feel pretty good. But yeah, I can't wait.
Yeah, it's spring has sprung here in New York. We're going to be a little bit colder next week, but so far so good. Like this week, I think up until Saturday, it's all in the 50s. And the low is above freezing. Yeah. Now, it may be tipping freezing right now. I tell you right now, it's 40 degrees. And it's, 10:30 at night here.
We had
so that's
50s.
Not too bad.
We had the lower 50s yesterday, and today was in the lower 60s. So today was a really nice day.
Yesterday, we had, the last 2 days, our temperature has been like 67, 68.
Yeah.
Talk about not having even to wear a jacket.
Yeah.
But here we are.
I would love to have another sighting. It's only been since, 12 years ago. So
Cindy says, I bet Joe is a good time Charlie at Thanksgiving dinner table. Exactly what does a good time Charlie do? My name is Charlie. We're going to have a good time. No.
Oh, man.
But anyway, it's good to be back, and yes, to answer my own question, what's in store? The weather has broke, and it'll be soon, within probably the next 6 to 9 weeks, 10 weeks, we'll start getting some films from the outdoors. We'll start doing some night stuff. And maybe even a live broadcast from the field again.
Yeah.
Weather depending.
Yeah.
The electrical equipment does not work so good in the rain. So
that would be good.
Absolutely.
I'm looking for a flat bottom boat too. I'd like to do a midnight float down Green River with a thermal.
Pretty soon the Russian Navy is going to need glass bottom boats. You know why? To see the old Russian Navy.
Oh, that's bad.
Anyway, bad joke, but hey. Anyway, well, it's great to be back. There's no sense in, prolonging this anymore. I've said what I needed to say. I don't know, maybe you need to say anything?
No, I'm good. Just
nah. I got nothing to say after that. Yeah.
I think the main gist of the show tonight, though, is just the creators for peace. If you guys can send the kids in Ukraine a few bucks, do it. I'm going to. I suggest everyone does.
I mean, even like $2. You think we get 100,000 people, or let's say we get, half of our subscribers. Or even a fifth of our 1,000 subscribers. If we all give $2, we just raised $2,000.
Yeah.
For UNICEF, and even so, $2,000 goes a long way when it comes to feeding. I mean, it buys a lot of rice. It buys a lot of, freeze-dried meats and stuff like that. Don't think of it like.
Don't think of it as giving it away to a charity that's gonna blow the money. Think of it as sending a couple of bucks and giving a kid a hot meal that probably hadn't had one, in maybe several days.
Or it may give them a ticket. They're in Romania. Right. May give them a ticket to Poland, so they can go get united with their parents,
right?
Or united with their aunt or uncle, or united with other family.
Yeah.
That while their family is in the homeland fighting against.
Yes. Well, Dad and Grandpa are required to stay in the homeland and fight. Let's not forget that. So some of these families are separated, and of course, if I was the dad in Ukraine and my wife and children had to be sent I've sent them somewhere else to be safe. You know, I would want to make sure that they got somewhere where they would be taken care of. And, you know, these guys got enough on their mind as it is too, you know.
And again, we want to thank our guests tonight. We Jim Crut and Mr. Mo Michaud. Thanks for coming on. And, you know, I know you both have thanked me for having you guys on to, you know, plead your stories. Jim for Ukraine and Mo over, you know, the Garrett debacle. But no, it's our pleasure to have you guys on, because we're all about finding the truth, the real truth, and nothing but the truth. You know, and on that note, I want to wish everybody, Chris, you want to do your thing too before we go?
Well, I want to thank you guys for joining us tonight over in the chat. We really appreciate you. All our listeners, our loyal listeners, we love you. We really do. And you guys make the show. You really do. And, you know, I can't thank you enough, and can't tell you how honored we are to have you. But if it's your first time watching us on YouTube, hey man, hit the subscribe, hit the like, you know, help us get the channel found in the search results. And that's all we ask. You know, it didn't cost you anything. And we appreciate it.
That's right. The only thing that's going to cost you anything is a subscription to the Jelly of the Month Club. Yes. Next month is April, so we have grape for April. No. You know what June is? Raspberry. Anyway, anyhow, folks, we want to wish everybody a happy and safe week. You know, we'll be back next week at 9 p.m. Eastern here on SquatchDTV.com. Again, 9 p.m. Eastern. And remember, tonight, hashtag creators for peace. Folks, everybody have a wonderful week. God bless. And most of all, keep on squatching. We'll catch you here next week, 9 p.m. Eastern.
Hey folks, you've been watching Squatch-D TV. Join us each week, Sunday night at 9 p.m. Eastern for the latest on the Bigfoot mystery. As always, we thank you for being our loyal viewers and encourage all to subscribe to our YouTube page at youtube.com/Steve Kulls. As always, have a great week. Stay safe. God bless. And keep on squatching.